experiences. So learning can happen anywhere. It happens in the mind irrespective of the place. And the workers are given that freedom to think. They can learn and they can always bring new ideas. And they should not be separated from the operational side and the thinking side. Thinking and operations must go hand in hand. Peter Senge, in his book, The Fifth Discipline, he says that there are ways of encouraging learning organizations. He says searching, learning, and deciding is a better way for a learning organization. So organizations must learn and implement new ideas so that there can be a better development. So organization learning will occur when you encourage your learning agents, individuals, when the process of actions is improved through better knowledge, and when you share your insights with others, and when you encourage result-oriented people, learning can happen in your organization. According to David Garvin of the Harvard Business School, a learning organization is an organization skilled at creating, acquiring, and transferring knowledge, and at modifying its behavior to reflect new knowledge and insights. So learning has to be there in an organization. Then how do we build a learning organization? There are few tips for building a learning organization. One is creating commitment to learning. So you need to create that commitment to learning, making learning a central and visible part of your organization. You can publicly and frequently speak about learning. Make investment in learning resources. You can measure and benchmark in the learning. You can also encourage and recognize learning achievements. That will encourage building a learning organization. Then secondly, you create and exploit the learning opportunities. How do we do this? Allow improvements, acquire new and different skills, experiment and adapt with the changes. Third thing that you can do for a learning organization is making learning happen. Sometimes organizations talk about learning, but learning does not really happen in those organizations. How do we make learning happen? One is build the competence, manage the consequences out of learning, choose appropriate organizational arrangements, use systems and processes that encourage learning, and build organizational culture. There has to be learning culture in the organization that can make organization learn, and you can have a better development of organization if you are a learning organization. Then the third challenge is institutionality. Now, what is an institutionality? Institutionality is that others can refer, other social units in the field can refer your institution as a benchmark or your institution as a role model. And for that, you'll have to build goodwill, and we call this as institutionality. Now, institutionality is an evolving process. There is no end to it. It has to continue. It is a continuous journey. And evolving, since it is an evolving process, there is no finishing for it. You have to continue having institutionality. Now, organizations must become a point of reference. People should come. Now, whenever such activities, such incidents have happened, such incidents are happening, people should come to you and make a reference. So that kind of institutionality you have to build. How do we build institutionality? One is technical capacity. You have to build your technical infrastructure, develop technical capacity. Second most important thing is commitment, normative commitment. Unless you have commitment towards the things that you do, if you commit for certain quality, if you commit for the delivery on time, if you commit for giving cost reduction, you must follow this. So all this has to be internalized in the organization. We call this as normative commitment. Then continuous innovation. So Japanese are known for continuous innovation. They call it as Kaizen. Now that kind of a concept has to come in the organization for building institutionality. Then you have to create an environmental image. Green image you'll have to create. And for that, you have to make separate efforts to build institutionality. Environmental image is also equally important in the modern times. And you have to look at the spread effect. The spread effect is specific relations and actions that are embodied in the organizations which become normative for other organizations. So that spread effect has to be there. That will be making you a role model. Now I remember an example of an educational institution, Indian Institute of Ahmedabad, which had to be built as an organization. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru thought of building Indian Institutes of Management, and he first made an effort to establish one at Ahmedabad and another at Calcutta. And he wanted that we should be on par with any management institution in the world. That was his dream, modernizing Indian economy. Now, there was a director called I.G. Patel, who was an senior IAS officer, ICS officer in those days, and he was appointed as a director. And he was earlier in a London School of Management, and he saw a system there. And the system was that the decision making done at the organizational level was a collective decision. It was not an individual decision. Director used to consult all the faculty, all the other members, non-faculty, and then take a decision and implement. This worked very well in London, but I.G. Patel could not implement it properly in Ahmedabad. This task was left to Ravi Mathai, who became the next director of the Ahmedabad Institute. And we find that Ravi Mathai took the IIM to the highest possible level with a world ranking. And that was the same model he could implement with some changes in the decision-making process. He took everybody into confidence. He built the trust, and trust played a major role in collective decision-making. And he built a very big organization. Today, it's a brand by itself. Now, this kind of change, institutionality is possible. We need to develop that institutionality. Then there are other few factors I will just run through. One is talent acquisition and retention. These are the days where people do not remain in the same organization for a longer time. These are the days of job hopping. Whenever they get better package, people have a tendency to migrate from one job to another job. Now, how do we acquire a good talent? We have to develop a process of acquiring a good talent. I remember SP Jain Institute. Every year they give advertisement for all posts, whether there is a vacancy or not. Their aim is to find out whether real talent is available, which is required by the organization. So they go on doing this process every year, and sometimes they find good talent and they try to take that to acquire that talent, and they have developed that continuous process of talent acquisition. And they also try to retain the talent which is there. They normally do not see the talents migrating from their organization to another organization. You train the talent, you give the facilities, and if the talent is migrating to some other organization, you are at a loss. So you'll have to learn how to retain the talent. And Tatas are best examples. While acquiring the talent, they are stringent. Once they acquire a talent, they ensure that there is a minimum exit from Tatas by any employee. almost till the end, employees remain with Tatas. They are little conservative in their approach, but still people prefer to stay there because of the trust, because of the goodwill that they have created. Then another challenge is of technology management, which I have discussed earlier also. So you have to learn to manage technology. Another important thing that is coming these days is the quality assurance. Quality should become everybody's responsibility. Quality is also not a destination, it is a continuous process. And therefore, to assure quality, there has to be everybody's responsibility. Quality must be everybody's responsibility. Everyone should have a sense of ownership of the organization. He should focus on enhancing quality. He should manage to develop support system. And also, these days, organizations go for accreditation. It's not only for the educational institutions, it is also for different institutions, different organizations, that different accreditation systems are available. It's just to know self-assessment. To make a self-assessment, it is better to go in for accreditation. Now, another challenge is of the leadership, the role of leader. No organization can develop without a good leader. Every leader has his own style, but what modern organizations require is a dynamic leader, a leader who is a transformational leader, who can act as a change agent, who can be committed to the task, who can create innovative environment, who can accept challenges, who can create new opportunities for the organization and provide a good leadership. So leaders in their own way make quite a difference for the organization. Good leaders, dynamic leaders always bring goodwill to the organization. They bring a change in a very effective manner. If the leaders are, the organizations are not static these days, and if the leaders try to maintain status quo of the organization, they will not bring any change in the organization. So leaders, not only with experience, leaders with dynamism are required for rebuilding the organization in the changed context. Now I have a few examples. There is one case study that was conducted by Ujjwal Patni, and this case study was conducted across the globe, and he has said what can be done for developing organizations in the changed context. He says that the basic objective of the organization in the present context should be compensating against the losses that you have incurred during last few days and conquering the market once again. How do we do this? Number one, he says cash flow management. Now, how do you manage cash flow? Now, there is no cash in the market. And government is trying to put the cash in the hands of the people so that the demand can be created and the markets can be revived. But the measures that they have suggested have a long-term implications, but in the short term something needs to be done. And he says debt recovery, concentrate on debt recovery. Maybe in whatever manner you are able to recover the debt, not 100% you may not be able to recover, but at least some debt you can recover. Secondly, what you can do is cash, you must do your business on cash basis. Do not do it on credit basis for some time, because it is a question of your survival also. So he suggests that the cash basis should be your business, and it should not be on credit. If there is a credit cycle, you reduce it. If you want to give credit, there are some businesses you cannot do without credit. Now you reduce the credit cycle. Third thing he says, grading. So you may maintain buyer selection, make buyer selection, grade your buyers, retain your buyers, because the buyers have a wide choice now, and if they go to some other person, you will lose your business. Now this is a time you have to retain him, retention of buyers. And you should maintain lean inventory, he says. Inventory, don't build unnecessary inventory and block your money, because cash shortage is there. You have to learn to manage your cash flow. The second is cost cutting. Now in the cost cutting, normally what people do is they either give layoff to the workers, or they totally say that we can't pay you the salaries. Now he says restructure your salaries. You can say that I am paying you 50% salary now, 50% will be on hold. Once we reach survival profits and start making profits, your arrears of 50% can be given, so that you retain your people, you encourage your people to do the work, and this requires restructuring of your salaries. Cost cutting can happen with this. Secondly, you can have a lean business. If earlier you had large number of employees, try to bring technology, reduce the number, reduce the luxury expenses. If you are allowing your employees earlier to travel by air, ask them to travel by train, ask them to travel by another mode, so that they can save money. Vendors, you must renegotiate with vendors. The times have changed. So you have an opportunity to renegotiate with the vendors and cut the cost. So cost cutting is possible. Third, he says, choose the technology. Try to have automation. You can have some software, some kind of a technology that can help you. Next, he says, create local supply chain. And you'll have to redesign supply chain. And after you reach a certain point, you can convert it into a global supply chain. Then he says customer retention, acquisition is very important in the changing times. You cannot do away with them. You try to have a close connect with your customers. Close connect with your customers. Ensure home delivery, or you can develop methods by which your customers can be happy. Then another important thing he has suggested is clear differentiation. You should stand out differently from others. Make a clear differentiation of your organization. Now your organization should be identified as an independently known organization in the market, and therefore make a clear differentiation, he says. And he says lastly, you compete with yourself. Face competition. First learn to compete with yourself, then compete with others. Don't get panicked because there is a competition in the market. We are in a competitive world. Competition is a part of our life. Learn to compete with yourself. Another interesting example I would like to share for organizational development is the CEO of Coca-Cola, Brand Eisen. He gave a speech, convocation speech of only 30 seconds, the shortest speech in a World Business School. And he said, there are 5 balls with which you are playing. Number 1 is the work, second is the health, third is the second is the family, third is the health, fourth is the friends, fifth is the spirit. He says, work is a ball made up of rubber, whereas family, health, friends and spirit are the balls made out of the glass. And when the rubber ball falls, it bounces back. Whereas the glass balls, when they fall, they either break or they get cut into pieces. So he says you'll have to manage this work in a better way, in an effective way. So 3 things he said. 1, get to work on time. Second, work effectively. And third, get back to family in time. If this is done, there would be possibility of organizations coming back to normal and they can make better profits. Now, what exactly is required is self-regulation, sense of ownership, group behavior, checks and balances, learning opportunities, research and innovation, and important thing is matching individual goals with organizational goals. There is a mismatch between individual goals and the organizational goals. There could be personal goals, professional goals, relationship goals, social goals, there has to be a match between this. Organization has goals, individuals have goals, they need to be managed. Now, two or three important issues have arisen out of this situation. I would sum up. One is health and safety of the workers. Now you'll have to focus more. You'll have to restructure everything. Your workplace has to be restructured in a manner which provides more safety and better health to workers. I have two examples. One is ACUS, which is following a global norm of the safety measures. They have created a system where there is a social distancing, appropriate social distancing of 3 meters. There is also sanitization at different points in the organization. Individuals have to work independently. The goods can be moved, the parts can be moved separately. They have made an excellent arrangement, and I would like students and staff to visit ACUS to just see the facilities of social distancing and the safety measures which they have implemented. Another thing, another model is of Mahindra and Mahindra. They have also done some changes to provide safety measures to their workers. It has become a major issue, major problem now. This needs to be addressed. Then another most important thing is uncertainty management. Learn to manage uncertainty. This uncertainty is going to be there. Every 10 years, if you look into the history, the virus has come. And the virus is coming in a more intense way than what it was earlier. Swine flu had come, bird flu had come. Now we had this corona. Now this kind of uncertainty in business is like to be there. So you'll have to prepare for facing the uncertainty. And for that, building immunity among the workers that you have, taking care, health care, you have to provide more health care measures and also create an atmosphere which provides sanitation and health measures to the workers. Manage uncertainty. So if you manage this uncertainty, organizational restructuring will become better, and this would help in the management of organization in a better way, and restructuring could happen, and that is the need of the hour. I thank you for patient listening. I also thank the organizers, Professor Kurchimat and my all friends in the MBA department at Belgaum, VTU, for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to share some of my stray thoughts on organizational development issues and challenges. I hope you enjoyed this. At least I enjoyed talking to you. Thank you. It was long.
Yes, friends, now we are at the end of the webinar, first webinar of Department of Management Studies, VTU Belagavi. Since there had been a lot of technical issues which we could not be able to manage it properly since it was the first time, but we have learned a lot of things out of this. At the end, I would like to thank Dr. A.B. Kalkundri sir for coming all along to this institute and delivering the lecture even during this corona epidemic problems and all that. He responded to our invitation and came all along to our institute to deliver the lecture. And sir, your lecture was very thoughtful, and I hope that it has given a lot of inputs for budding people like us. So on behalf of all the faculty members of the Social Technological University Department of Management Studies, I thank you, sir, and hope the same cooperation will be provided by all the participants in days to come. And we will host a lot of webinars of this kind. And I thank everyone for this. Thank you. Thank you.
How many participants?
25.
Yeah.